First of all, can I curse here?
Of course.
And every time I go to Los Angeles, I'd run into Sam somewhere, Sam Jackson. We'd be on the lot of some studio, and his car would pull up. He'd roll down the window, and he'd be like, "When we make that sequel, motherfucker?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm thinking soon. Let me think about it. Driver, keep going, keep going."
It's amazing to meet you.
Emmeline, it's such a pleasure to welcome you in Germany, and now it's an interview with a view. So
This is
awesome.
So beautiful.
Yes.
So I'm gonna be very distracted as we talk. I'm just gonna look out.
It is simply extraordinary.
I really find always very exciting to get to know the whole road of a movie, or in this case, a series, because you just did Unbreakable a couple of years ago,
Yes.
and then a Split last year. So, and in this case, it's very uncommon and very unusual because you just did the first movie 16 years between part 1 and part 2,
Yes.
and now just 2 years between 2 and 3. So, can you just give us a quick overview about your road from day one Unbreakable to kind of now?
Yeah, you know, it's very unusual because you see a lot of movies being remade or rebooted or, you know, continuing, and they're almost always motivated by financial reasons of, oh, there's an opportunity, let's exploit own material. This wasn't the case with this one. This one was in 1999 when I wrote the outline for Unbreakable. It had all these characters in it, and it was meant to move like this. And Kevin Wendell Crumb, who's the lead of Split, was in that outline for Unbreakable. And when Unbreakable happened, when I released it and I made a very dark comic book movie, there was a weird reaction to it. First of all, the studios felt like we couldn't sell it as a comic book movie because no comic book movies existed really at that time. So they thought it was a very niche market, and I had just come off Sixth Sense, so they felt like, let's make it a thriller, let's just make it a general thriller. And the reaction to the movie was wonky. It was very dark and somber, and I felt like maybe there isn't an audience for this.
I'm gonna ask you some questions. Where were you sitting on the train?
Against the window.
In the passenger car?
Yes.
So I didn't make it for a long time, and then I made a lot of other movies. Then I started to come back and make organically contained thrillers, contained smaller thrillers. And this idea for Kevin Wendell Crumb, I love so much. A guy who has this disorder abducts these 3 girls, and they have to talk their way out of it with all the different personalities. And then I got permission from Disney to do the ending of Split, and you know, the movie did well, and we had this opportunity to finish it in Glass.
Maybe this will all make sense if I explain who I am.
My name is Dr. Ellie Staple, and I'm a psychiatrist.
Do you think you would have done Unbreakable completely different if you would just start with Unbreakable today? Because now comic books are just biggest selling stuff in the industry.
What I definitely would have done differently is sell it differently. We would have said, you know, what it is, which is a man survives a wreck, a train wreck, and he doesn't have a scratch on him. Everyone else dies, and someone says, I know why. I think you're a real-life superhero. That would have been how we would have sold the movie and framed it. So that would have been a very different experience, because your experience of movies is influenced by how you're framed by them. There's no question that the marketing campaign affects your perception of the thing you're seeing.
I specialize in those individuals who believe they are superheroes.
Good for you.
Today we just had a screening. You
Yeah.
presented us Glass, and you talked a lot about taking risks and creating own and original stories. So I really like that you just take the risk, even if you know, okay, it could go right, but of course if you take a risk, it could fail. So where do you get your courage from to take the risk and to say, okay, I'm gonna deal with the winning side, but also if I fail, I take the losing side. So
Yeah.
I really think this is very impressive.
Oh, thanks, man. I don't know. It's somehow creating, the process of creation feels purest when you're starting from nothing. When you're starting from nothing. I'm not starting from something that someone else made or something. Those are my favorite moments. It's a blank page, and it's a feeling about someone that lives in Munich, or, you know, and I never have explored this before, and something happens in an apartment in Munich. You know, there's a young woman, she's alone, and this thing happens to her. I don't know, I want to learn about her. I want to learn about her relationship to the place, and that's fun creating from scratch. Whereas if there's something else attached, that's wonderful too. That's not my addiction. My addiction is to creating and finding out while I'm writing, figuring out who these characters are and the tone of the movie. For me, I judge directors based on their control of tone. So the masters are the greatest at controlling tone, Hitchcock and Kubrick, and discovering a new tone in an original movie that's the excitement for me. So copying someone else's tone or copying another tone, I don't know.
And of course the audience does not have any expectation in this kind of, okay, this was part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 and 5, just has to be in this way. So because you can create new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even as you can see, I did the sequel to Unbreakable without telling anyone it was a sequel.
Yeah.
To preserve this feeling for me as a creator that I'm making a different movie. This is a completely different tone and feeling, but is related, you know?
And you just said it, nobody knew that it's a sequel. So
Yeah.
even not the production company for you did the movie. So this is kind of very crazy. So can you tell me a little bit about this surprising moment when people just realized you did a sequel?
Yeah, I made Split for Universal Pictures.
Someone's coming for you.
Who's coming?
The beast.
I had made my previous movie for them in The Visit, and it was just a great experience. And so when I showed them Split, they thought I'd made just another thriller. And when I showed it to them in their studio, on their lot, and they got to the end, and then there's this scene that has a character from a movie they don't own. And they were so completely confused about what's going on. What? They didn't know I shot it. I didn't show them the dailies of it. Like I hid it from them.
So the ending of the movie was completely different before you finished it?
Yeah.
The world will understand now. The beast is real.
You know, I really wanted to see their reactions and all that stuff. So they were like, what's happening? And I had already talked to Disney and gotten permission to use it, so it was legally, everything was fine. So you can imagine what their reaction was.
Absolutely.
You're in one company, seeing a movie, realizing the movie you made is a sequel to a movie from another company. Crazy.
Do we find kind of breadcrumbs in Unbreakable which leads us a little bit to the connection to Split or Glass? Or so if I just watch it again, can I see some hints? Because you just knew that it's going to be a little bit more than just Unbreakable.
Well, I didn't when I made Unbreakable like make references to Kevin or anything like that, but the outline for Unbreakable was David Dunn realizes he's a hero. This guy has abducted these 3 girls and they're all gonna die. Tick, 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 tick. And David decides to go to the train station to finally, you know, become a hero and touch people and see what they've done wrong. And he bumps into the horde who goes to the train station to have the beast emerge.
So it's a little bit more like creating a world.
They bump into each other at the train station, so you can see the architecture of both movies, Unbreakable and Split, end up in a train station at the end, the both of them, and that was because they were in the same movie and they were supposed to meet at the train station.
And I'm really looking forward to Glass because you're gonna bring Sam and Bruce back in the game again. So what was their reaction? And for example, there's gonna be a sequel. We're gonna tell the story more than just one part. And how was it to bring the old team back to set and to start a new stuff?
First of all, can I curse here?
Of course.
Okay, so I would go to Los Angeles. Both the guys wanted to make a sequel forever. And I just, after Unbreakable, I just said, I don't know, and I kept saying no. And every time I go to Los Angeles, I'd run into Sam somewhere, Sam Jackson. We'd be on the lot of some studio, and his car would pull up. He'd roll down the window, and he'd be like, when we make that sequel, motherfucker? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking soon. Let me think about it. Driver, keep going, keep going. And then I met him again at a street light. Same thing happened again. Lower the thing. When we making that sequel, motherfucker? And then, so the fun part was, I called Sam and I said, this was 2 years ago, and I said, I want to show you a movie. And I said, and I want to talk to you afterwards about something I'm thinking about. That's all I said. Then he said, okay. So I screened Split for him. He went to a theater, and I screened Split for him, and then he got to the end, and he saw the ending, and then...
You really love story twists. You really love the twist.
It's fun. Why would I want to take that away from everybody? And then he got in the car, and he was like, does this mean? And I'm like, we're making the sequel, motherfucker.
And how was it to bring them all back to set?
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was when the first time they were all in the room together, it was a reading, we did a table reading, and it was really special. Everyone in the room felt this is special, and like we had all the actors that were, anybody that had a large part was in there reading, and the people that had smaller parts were in awe of what was happening, because you had like Bruce Willis playing David Dunn, Sam Jackson playing Elijah Bryce, James McAvoy playing Kevin Wonder Crumb, and Sarah Paulson here playing this new character. It was like the all-star team, and like a bunch of them were like, we don't deserve to be here, we're just getting up and leaving. And I'm like, everyone sit down, we're gonna finish this. And it was amazing. The reading was my favorite table read of all time, and you could feel it in the room, the energy.
This is not a cartoon. This is the real world.
No way.
And yet, some of us still don't die with bullets. Some of us can still bend steel.
Thanks so much for your time. I hope you enjoy Munich a little bit more, and I'm gonna watch Glass, and I'm very, very excited to see it again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
First name, Mr. Last name, Glass.